Gonna wait for an email to get that I'm live. Let me just make sure. I believe it just sent the email. Yeah, I'm live. Sweet. Welcome to the podcast. I don't think there's gonna be anybody watching. Zephan is probably at work. I'll start the podcast in a little bit. I'm going to be recording on my phone again. Hopefully it picks it up. It sounded horrible yesterday, though. I know that. Let me see. Oh, I got to go all the way down to the bottom. So I think we're about almost 2% down. Half a percentage. Energy still leading. Qualcomm's at 122. I'll kind of look at some of these. Okay, I'm going to start the podcast. I am on Do Not Disturb, yeah. Okay. Good morning. It is Thursday, September 22nd. I am still at the Rose Bowl in Pasadena. I'm sitting in my Westin hotel room. It is currently 8:30 in the morning. I am sorry that I was not up early. But I think most of you guys listen to this podcast in the afternoon, so hopefully you'll excuse it. I needed some sleep. I got back late from work last night. And I do have a podcast recommendation. I think I told you guys I was working on a podcast with a friend, and his name's Rick, Richard Barron. And you can Google him. You can look at him on YouTube, Vice News. I know interviews him all the time. He's on Fox News. He's on CNN. He's on MSNBC. He's a friend. He was part of the 2020 election down in Georgia. And he's got a new podcast. You can Google it, Richard Barron Election Insider. And he posted his first one yesterday. Let me know, first off, if you listen to it, let me know what you think about it. He's got a poll up on Anchor or Spotify that you can take as to what he should talk about. One of the things he and I talked about was, and I know just knowing him personally, how horrible people are to him. And he was doing nothing but trying to do his duty as an American citizen in protecting elections. And anybody that says anything different about what he did is completely wrong, off touch, and out of base. They can't point to anything he did wrong with that election, no matter which side you're on. And again, you guys know I'm a centrist. He takes on the Democrats just as much as he takes on the Republicans. So I think it's an interesting podcast. I hope you'll subscribe. I hope you'll listen. I hope you guys will give me your feedback on that. Rick really, really wants to make this a great podcast, an interactive podcast with his audience. So I'm just kind of helping him out get started since I have a fairly successful podcast. Mine is based on stocks, and I do talk about politics because politics affects stocks. So if you're interested, again, Google it. Look on Spotify, Richard Barron Election Insider. I was able to find it through Spotify very easily. I was not able to find it on Apple Podcasts very easily. So if you need a link to it on Apple Podcasts, let me know. Hit me up on my Twitter or my Instagram, and I'll send it over to you on the Apple Podcast. But it should, again, we dropped the first episode yesterday. And I know you guys listened to this before. If you're interested in starting a podcast, this is why Anchor pays me to put that at the beginning of my podcast, is because you can do it too if you find a passion and stuff. So what did Jerome Powell do to the markets yesterday? I looked when he was making his speech, and the market was up. And then slowly it began to fade away, I guess is the best description of it. Let's take a look at the SPY, and I'm going to go into our strategy tester so we can see it. And we'll run it against. What I'm looking at is DRV right now, and I'll look at DRV before I go to SPY. DRV, so you guys know, is a short a triple levered short of the real estate market. And I brought this up and I told everybody, hey, there's a gap down here between 42 and 41. But we triggered at 47, 46, 47. You're now at 58. So if you took that trade, and I know several of you did take that trade, kudos to you guys. Personally, I did not take the trade. I should have taken the trade. I get scared off with the RSI that high. Kudos to you guys who did take the trade because you're making some money. You can see this is just, it's got all of the confirmation still. The RSI is up at 75. You can see it down here. I hope you can see it down here. It's at 75. You can see the trigger right there. Buy entry 47. If you're not in this one, even though it's got confirmation, I would probably not get into this one. But again, to everybody that did take that trade, kudos, fantastic. Now here's the SPY. And this is on the algorithm, so it's a 4-hour chart. And you can clearly see that it had an exit here at September 15th. You've got some small gaps here above where it's trading today. You're all the way down here at 374. There are key support levels at 3650. If you hit 365 on this SPY, we will probably go to a 350 handle, which means 351 through 359. Doesn't mean that we're going to 350. My personal recommendation is if we get that low on the S&P, add to your long-term portfolio. Don't add in one big bulk. Start adding. You should probably be adding right now. It's psychologically hard to add when you're in this downturn, but there is nothing that has changed. 75 basis points was in there. What's not in there is when Powell said we may have to go to, I think it was 4.65 to 4.7% on the base rate. I think the market had 4.2%, and I think that's what pushed the market down. So I am being patient in this market. I haven't sold anything. I haven't bought anything. I am not day trading because I'm working. But if I had money on the sidelines, and again, I'm about 80% invested. I do have to put some money in my HSA and my IRA. I have to start buying on those. I will probably start buying conservative things. And when I talk about conservative, I talk about VOO, which is a S&P 500 Vanguard index. I will probably put some money into Google at these levels. Microsoft is an unbelievable buy right now in my mind. Let's take a look at the Microsoft chart. Microsoft has fallen so far, so fast. And today it's slightly up by 0.34% at the current rate, but you can clearly see we are still in a very negative trend on Microsoft. Their earnings are coming up later in October 25th. There's no catalyst between now and then. If the market is to come down, this will come down with it. Tech has just taken it on the chin. There are gaps above here. I have $500,000 in Microsoft. I have a lot of money in Microsoft. Not as much as I have in Apple. Not as much. I think Microsoft might be my second holding since Amazon has fallen so much. But Microsoft, Amazon, Apple, and Google, those are the four that I probably use their products the most. Amazon is probably one where I use it less now. And so I'm less likely to add to Amazon. But Microsoft, with Microsoft Teams, with Xbox, with Microsoft Word, Excel, things of that sort. They've got business, basically. And the cloud business. I mean, I was just talking with a friend yesterday about using Microsoft Cloud for all of their real estate signatures and things of that sort. It's a great tool. So what I would like you to do is, if you're not in a long-term portfolio and you're younger, start adding to some of those names. I do believe in tech in particular, and that is my personal Again, there's a lot of analysts that don't believe that tech will lead in the new one. Energy is something that between now and the end of the year, I'm a believer in. Just so you're aware, I did do scans, and the scans are few and far between. When you've got a downturn market, there's not a lot of MACD cross-ups. Remember, my algorithm works on cross-ups, and when I scan for stocks that are good, that's where it's hard to find. Now, J&J, it got you out yesterday today with a 1.58% loss. This is the only MACD cross-up that I could find in any of my searches. Now, I do searches based on, see that little dip of that blue line? Hopefully you can see it. The MACD crossed down on this candle and then crosses right back up. So if you're in J&J, there's no reason to get out. I don't think that this is going to rally. When we look at J&J in FinViz, we can look at some of their fundamentals. Their PE is 23. Right now, they are 11% off their 52-week high. They're 6% above their 52-week low. This trades in a crazy, crazy tight range. You're getting a 2.77% dividend. Your performance year to date is minus 4.5%. Go to finviz.com. I know on the YouTube you can't really see the whole thing. I'd have to bring it over a little bit, I think. Well, I can't really even bring it over a little bit. But you can't see the whole thing on FinViz, on YouTube. But there's a clear channel being created here between 180 and 160, and you're at 166. Don't try and time it. You may go into the 150s on a handle if we really pull back to the March 2020 lows, which I don't think is in the cards, but it's a clear downward trending stock. I think you buy it here in the hopes that it goes to 180 at some point in time, but I couldn't find anything. Let's look at some of and I'm going to sneeze here in a little bit, so my apologies to the audience. I'm not going to hit pause. But Qualcomm. Oh, God, I got to sneeze. I hope everybody's enjoying the fact that I have to sneeze. Qualcomm is one that we had a buy-in here. Let me pull this forward a little bit and shrink this down. 123 was the buy-in. You're still in on this, but it's trading below that range. It's at 123.40. I think it touched 122. I think you're going to see some of these stocks really start to pick back up. See how it's kind of creating. We talk about the button hook at the top of a lot of these trades. There's also a button hook at the bottom. You can see kind of how it button hooks down here. That's how my algorithm works. It tries to find that button hook on the bottom, and it tries to find the button hook on the top. It never works out perfectly, but Qualcomm, in my mind, is putting in that button hook, and it's going to turn back up at some point in time. I like this one. Let's look at some of yesterday's plays. Pepsi. I think we wound up down on Pepsi yesterday, PEP. You can clearly see that button hook here. It doesn't get you in at the perfect time, but that button hook right there, it gets you in right after the button hook. The algorithm can't time things perfectly, because if it were to try and time things perfectly, it would probably get you into too many trades and out too quickly. And it just wouldn't work. Again, back testing on this one, you make 5% with the algorithm. It's 30% if you buy and hold. And the 30% buy and hold, Pepsi is one that I would say buy and hold. We talked about Uber yesterday. Uber is one that I like at these levels. It's got that button hook down at the bottom as well. We're waiting for TrendSpider to kind of pull this one up. But it's got that button hook. It got you out of this one. It will probably get you out today. Trade it if it's below 30. So I like it at these levels. At 29, I like Uber. The 200-day on the 4-hour chart is trading right about 25. So I think if it goes anywhere between 26 and 28, I think you start adding to this one pretty heavily. The RSI is down at 37. I might even put the over-under at 30 on this one where you buy. I like it. Now, Hood is an interesting one. Robinhood. I'm not a fan. We brought up Charles Schwab yesterday. I'd rather see you in Charles Schwab. But this Hood one is interesting because it's a tradable stock. It just got you out here on September 21st with a 5% gain. There is a MACD cross down, clearly down here. And you do have an RSI at 45. I think it's up pretty well today. Oh, it seems to have crashed back down under 10. 10 seems to be the up and down on this one. So, sorry, YouTube. This is 9:22 part 1. Sorry, I just had to pause it. I had to put a do not disturb on the door, and YouTube got to see that live. But Robinhood is interesting because I do think anywhere below 10 you can buy. Above 10 you absolutely start to sell right away. Remember that you should trade UPRO, which is a bull, SPXL, which is a bull, TQQQ, which is a bull, and then I've got 3 bears for you. SPXU is a bear, SQQQ is a bear, and SARK is a bear. So let's pull up UPRO and let's look at the 4-hour charts on these. These are levered ETFs. UPRO in specific is levered to the S&P 500. You can see that this got you out. It hasn't gotten you back in. This is a bull, but you can see clearly this one's oversold at 30 on the RSI down here. The MACD has not crossed up. It has not created that button hook, so I don't know that we're done going down. Let's look at the opposite bear on the S&P, SPXU. And when we pull this up in TrendSpider, you can clearly see that this is in the middle of a run. It looks like 1818 was the buy-in, and you're still at 1957. So have you made your 10%? $1.80? You're close. You're close to your 10% run on this one. But the RSI has been up. It was at 63, and right now it's at 69. So it's been in that range the entire time it's gone up. TQQQ. We can look at TQQQ, which matches the NASDAQ. And the NASDAQ has been the most volatile of the indexes. TQQQ is triple levered to the NASDAQ. And clearly, you can see this in a downward trend. It hasn't created that button hook yet. It started to yesterday with that candle, but we lost all of that today on this candle. That is even further down. Now, the RSI is at 30. At some point, this starts to pick up again, and it becomes interesting. On the inverse, you can see SQQQ, which is an interesting one because, let's pull, I typed in 4 Qs instead of 3. But this one, you can see SQQ is going to have a run, and we're probably in the midst of that one, and it hasn't gotten you out. So it got you in at 49.87 on September 16th. You're at 53. So you've come close to your 10%. You're not quite there, but you're almost there. Again, almost a 10% run. SARK, which is an inverse ETF to the ARKK, which is Cathie Wood's main ARK fund. This one had a buy-in at 56.20. Hasn't gotten you out, and you're probably at about not 8%, 8% at $60.25. So this isn't levered. This is just a clear, ARKK goes down, SARK goes up. So again, you've got opportunities to trade in this market. But I would say as we start to go down, you add to your medium to long-term stocks. And those are stocks that A, are making money, B, have good management, C, have a good track record, and D, and probably most importantly, products or services that you or the business that you're in uses. It's the best advice I can give you. Costco earnings are after the bell today. We have a downward trending stock in Costco. Into earnings, it hasn't gone up. You're below 500 on Costco. And this is mainly because the consumer is just going to get weaker, and they assume that they will start cutting back, and membership programs is part of what they're going to come back with. So the question is Costco hurting in their membership? If they're not, this stock most likely is going back to 500. If they are, and they announce that they're not keeping pace with membership growth levels, you're going to see this stock just continue to tank. It has not had a MACD cross up. It has not had one of those bottom button hooks. I think at 480, I think you're good in getting into this one. Let me look at some of the fundamentals on FinViz. 38 is the PE. Remember, the S&P trades at 17. So for this one to have a PE of 38, it better keep up with the growth. And that growth has to remain. You can see earnings per share this year, 25%. That's a really big growth number. Earnings per share next year is expected to be 10%. So the price of the stock already indicates that there's going to be a slowdown in the membership fees, because that's what we are. Earnings per share next 5 years, 13%. So it's assuming that there's a short-term downturn in the memberships, but a long-term increase in the memberships. But earnings per share this year, 25%. That's what's priced in. If they're going to bring down their earnings, you're going to see this stock start to fall significantly. You can see on the chart, by the way, on FinViz, when you look at FinViz, there's an ascending triangle that is broken. It's already broken that triangle, and that triangle is at 540. I would not be surprised if these guys report a tremendous quarter, that this jumps back to 540. That would be where I would say it would go. But you're taking a chance. It's 6% below its 20-day SMA. It's 8% below its SMA 50-day. You had this when we go back to the chart. If we were to pull this to a daily, you guys hear me talk about it all the time. A death cross where the 50-day crosses the 200-day. Actually, ironically, it just had the golden cross. It hasn't had the death cross, so it had the golden cross, and it just continued down. I might put some money into this at 486. Let me look at some of the volume shelf levels, because there is a clear volume shelf here at about 460. And the question is that 460? And I don't know if you can still see it, but let's. This is probably, where is that volume shelf? This is part of the issue. There it is. Okay. So we're going to pull this all the way over. And again, my little 13-inch monitor here on my MacBook Pro. It is a little difficult. I'm going to pull this over to December. There it is. And January 2022. we're going to look at this year. Because the stock is down year to date, which it should be. It's not setting any records. 486. Yeah, the RSI. Look at that RSI at 30. God, you've got an opportunity to get it to Costco. Yeah, some of the FinViz articles. Yeah, read the FinViz articles before you invest in this. I would say July, the price target of 525 to 579. I think that may remain, but read some of the FinViz articles. It looks like they're talking about a downturn. It may still surprise. Let me see if there's anything that I need. Oh, the inverse Bitcoin ETF, BITI. That is an inverse Bitcoin ETF. It shorts Bitcoin, and I don't think it has enough candles to create a lot of. It doesn't. It did have an entry at 38.76, which is back to kind of where you're trading. You're trading at 39.44. The algorithm loses you 12%. Buying and holding just makes you 0.58%. This is a trading tool. This is not something that you invest in long term. But I know I promised to do a short one on this one. One other one that I brought up, Ford. I saw this one in the 13 level. Yeah, it's below 13. Let me pull this so you can see. We don't have the MACD cross up clearly on this, but it is significantly oversold. The RSI is at 28. That's low, but you have no upturn in that MACD. That blue line that I'm pointing to on YouTube right now, you have no upturn. That strike line is clearly going down. At some point, this becomes interesting because it's so oversold. Right now, I don't think it's interesting at all. There's nothing here. Look at those volume shelves. The next volume shelf is at 1155. So my belief is 1155 is probably a shelf where we'll see this stock go to. So I think that's it. I've recorded for about 20 minutes. I don't have much to say. Be patient. I think that's the best advice I can give you. So I'll be on YouTube for a little bit. If you're there, say hi, hit the thumbs up, and let me know if you have any stocks that you want me to look at. But again, be patient. I think we've got more downturn coming. Even if you see a big day up, I think you've still got some downturn coming. Okay? Take care. Bye. I guess I can't edit this audio. Okay, let me see if anyone's chatting on YouTube. I know you guys are probably still hanging out if you're here, if you got the message. I don't have anything, by the way. And I'm sorry if the stream really sucks. But there is just not good internet here. Save. Publish. Let's see. Market update 9. 22. Yep. 22. Placeholder. Publish. I think I just published everything. Let me see. I'm not going here. Turn this down. I don't think any of the chat stuff. Cam, let me tell you what's the trade. Attention to the chat. I think we have more downside. Okay. Done there. I gotta go edit the podcast, so I'm gonna cut the stream short. And I gotta shower before I go to work. It's now 9 o'clock. I gotta be at work at 10. So I'm gonna cut this one short. Nobody wants to see me shower. Zephan was here. Zephan, man. I'm so glad you were here. I am sorry I wasn't here for the chat. But, okay. And there's 3 of me on my screen. I know you guys can see it too. It's kind of cool to watch it this way. But, take care. I will